Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. I appreciate everyone joining. My name is Brad Bush, and I'm with Strategy for AI. Our goal is to help businesses understand AI and implement strategy in a way that really connects their business culture and outcomes to the way that they're using AI. And we want to make AI resonate with your teams and make it a lot more human. We really want to bring the humanity back into this type of technology. And if you caught their first webinar last week, you would have seen that it was on the AI whisper effect, that the best prompters in your organization are 142 times better than the worst prompters. And today we're going to have a similar topic, which is really exciting. So I'm very excited to bring this to you today. The slides were created using AI, and they were edited by me. Some of the pictures, in fact, I think I didn't take out any pictures this time. So all the pictures this time were created by AI. So I'll start the presentation. Okay, today's topic is the AI placebo effect. It's about that believing in AI makes it work better. So here is the bottom line, which we're going to get to which companies these are near the end. So stay tuned. There's a $304 million trust gap between companies where the people inside the company believe in AI and companies where the people that had issues and couldn't believe in the AI and the project failed. In these types of companies, AI system performance is anywhere between 15 to 66% better, and we'll talk about those statistics. There's going to be a lot of statistics in today's because I did a lot of research because this topic is really interesting. And then the return on investment is a little bit greater, actually, than 2 times. And this brings me back to kind of really the beginning. Only 46% of people actually trust AI. And so what we have managers have to do is create this trust, build that trust up, and then roll out AI in a systemic human fashion that allows AI to be absorbed by our teams in a way that it can be implemented. So here is the wave of statistics. So on the top is the problem, and the bottom is kind of what you can get if you implement a trust-based approach to AI. So organizations using AI in at least one business function are up since 2023, from 55% to 78% at the end of last year. So, and that was a statistic from McKinsey at the end of their 2024 study. And 28% of them are already beyond the proof of concept stage. I didn't put that stat in. I'm running out of room for the statistics. 26% though are only having success in the scaling effort. So although 78% are adopting, 26% are being able to move beyond that proof of concept stage. And over 70% of them, according to Boston Consulting, are showing heavy implementation challenges. And most of those challenges are from people and process issues, not from the technology. And this echoes something that we talked about in the last week's presentation. So how can you increase this? It's all about trust. It's all about getting people to believe in the AI. So companies that had a better trust performance connection increased their usage of the AI tool by 28% and had a heavy ROI boost and a heavy revenue boost. So what is the science behind this placebo effect that we see? So MIT did a study and they primed the users. So this is sort of at the crux of the whole thing, to perceive AI as caring, and rated it, and then those users rated it as more trustworthy and better performing. And that's all they did, is do a priming exercise. And anybody that's seen one of these psychology exercises knows how this works. They give images or have a user read a paragraph. And so they prime them, and then they do a focused study group of against a set of people that weren't primed, and you could see a pure improvement. And then other researchers at Koch did the same thing. They did participants that had AI support and training showed much better performance improvement. And then in one more study, well-calibrated users showed 30% better AI utilization and 15 to 25% decision accuracy. Well, all of those stats say one major thing, that if you can build a business framework of trust, your adoption rate, your performance outcome, and your business value will go up. So these are the frameworks that we want to try and build our AI initiatives around. So here is the trust components from an AI perspective. The first three TRU of the trust AI model are transparency, reliability, and understanding. So as you roll out your AI model, you really need to make sure that it's very transparent to your employees. And this is super important given the fear and uncertainty around how AI is being perceived, both in our personal and our business lives. So make sure that you explain what the goals of the AI decision is going to be. Make sure that you set clear understanding within your teams of what the decision making is going to be on who's going to make decisions and how the AI is going to be making the decisions within the tools. You can use a metric such as 95% of AI decisions can be explained in plain language to your teams as a metric that you want to try and make sure that you get this transparency measured. And the real business impact of this is that it will reduce resistance and increase adoption within your teams. Second, reliability. We want to make sure that we are continually monitoring with humans that we can hit 95% accuracy thresholds and very low error rates and system uptime rates. So the main thing is that what we want to do is build a tool that acts like a real business tool. Many of the pilots that have shown continuous errors. And so the key is to put guardrails, humans in the loop, things that we can make sure that the AI solutions that we put into the business are helping and coming up with reliable answers. And that will build confidence and reduce skepticism within our teams. The third component of the TRUST AI model is the U, understanding. We want to make sure that we put in training programs. And last week in the AI Whisperer, we talked about there are different kinds of people within your organization, and you need to train them different ways. So this would be a great time to use that advice also. In this, we want to have 100% training across the board, some way to measure that everybody has taken the training for the tools that you're putting in and that they're getting proficient on those tools. And the key to that will be that we'll increase effective tool usage and reduce the fear that we were talking about earlier. The last two parts, the S&T components, are support and a tailored experience. Support, we have to make sure that we have dedicated team. And we talked about this last week also. You want to set up teams on your AI that are led by your AI whisperers, the people that are AI savvy and that are able to coach and have a peer support system for the people on your team. You want to have response from your IT team that is less than 4 hours for AI issues, and a 90% user satisfaction with the tools that you've put in. This will reduce abandonment of the tools, which we all know we put in a tool and it'll be used for a few months and then it won't be, and sustained usage. I think those might be the same thing. That's a place where AI failed us. So tailored experience. The last thing is, and we talked about it on the training, but we want to make sure it's also done on the tool itself, that the AI is personalized based on user roles and preferences, and that the AI tools that we put in look at where that person is in their role and meets them where they are. 75% of that AI reporting that they understand their needs would be our metric here. Okay, well, I don't know. We probably have to do that through some kind of user survey. But if we were able to meet those kind of goals, we could look for higher engagement and a better task completion with our employees. So here is the money chart, what I talked about earlier. On the left, we have Zillow. And you all may have remembered this one from the news. Zillow was aggressively scaling the way that they scored the houses that they wanted to buy using AI. They had a full lack of human insight, no human in the middle. They had terrible governance. Only a couple of people were making the decisions about what the AI was doing. And they had no change management or trust building within this tool. So they rolled this tool out. And what happened is it started recommending houses that Zillow should buy, and Zillow went and bought those houses. And those houses created a $304 million loss within the company. In other words, they bought houses that, as the housing market started to crash after the market started to change, then they lost $304 million. And that led to an $8 billion market cap drop. And because they weren't making the same revenue and they had lost such market cap, they had to cut out 2,000 jobs. So they had to shut an entire business unit down that was doing the AI, and they saw AI inside as a major failure. And the bottom line, and many people have looked at the business case, was that they didn't have enough people involved. They didn't roll out the strategy in a way that was humanistic and explaining to people how it was going to work. And they also didn't teach people and bring them along on what is it doing and how does it impact their jobs. So Colgate-Palmolive is an example of a success story where they did a trust first way of rolling AI out. Mandatory training and responsible AI focus across the board. They had humans in the loop on all of their AI processes, completely human AI collaboration. The training was comprehensive, and it was very clear, and it was in all of the management briefings. They put out reports from employee surveys that thousands of these people that were able to reduce the drudgery, which is what my point of humanistic AI is to take the drudgery out of our teams so they can focus on the creativity and connection to other humans and increasing the production of the business. The things that we want our employees, this is exactly what happened. So they reduce their day-to-day drudgery, and they were able to increase their creativity. My name is Bush, so I can make up words. So everybody, if I make up a word like grudgery, then that is A-okay. Significant research was put within this rollout that they were able to reduce the time that it took for them to do their jobs. And this is the number one thing that I want you to take away. Is if you build these trust systems and you can put AI in to take away this day-to-day grind of our employees and put them towards these jobs that we all know everyone wants to do, is we will have higher employee satisfaction and engagement. And that is the real key. Same technology, different outcomes. The difference is not AI. The difference is how we worked with it. Zillow relied on the technology alone. They only let a few people. The rules were very vague. They didn't do any training. And on the other hand, we have Colgate that invested in the trust, invested in the rolling out in a human-centered way. And in the end, we have over $300 million and major market cap difference between the two. So this is another way of looking at it, quantified impact of trust building. So high trust organizations can be up to 30 times better return on investment. Industry average is around, we're just setting it at 10. And then the low trust organizations are much lower. So an example at the top is a healthcare organization which had 60 to 70% of their critical support decisions fail primarily due to clinician resistance and lack of trust. Meanwhile, Mayo Clinic has 71% of their employees' trust rate in their AIs, and it led to an implementation which went across 76,000 of their staff being successful. In service-based businesses specifically, Principal Financial Group had 81% of their lenders um, thinking that they were well positioned to be change makers with AI. Liberty Mutual improved their claims processing with a super high employee satisfaction. So right now, professional services, we see in many research studies can get up to a 60% productivity improvement with much faster employee delivery. So here's the types of return on investment that you could get. $1 million invested could return $3.7 million, according to some of those return investments. $1 million could end up being all the way down to 0.8 if you had a failure risk. So you really have to have trust. And if you can put 15 to 20% into these types of training activities and human activities, you could get up to a 2.5% return on investment multiplier. So here's a couple of roadmaps. The first one is the bigger picture roadmap of the 6-month rollout, maybe even past 6 months. And the next one is a 90-day quick start plan. So phase one would be to have the foundation, do the quick start plan, come up with what I call AI payback projects. I don't like to call things pilots. Pilots sound like things you're going to abandon. And so what I'd love to do is work with companies and come up with AI payback projects, which are much smaller projects that we can have early adopters prove the payback, iterate into the business. And then the success for that would be that we have 80% user satisfaction over that small group, and they would have 20% productivity gains. In phase two, we would do the expansion into a department-wide rollout. We'd advance these training programs in peer mentoring, and we would do performance monitoring across the entire group. And then we would hope that we would get 70% organization-wide adoption and 30% efficiency gains at that point. And then phase three, we would just continue to iterate within that set of tools that we had put out. And this is for a single set of tools. You could go through this for multiple sets of tools and advance on the AI capabilities. Listen to the users, come up with new things that we could do, and then embed those in as habits. So what we really want to see then is 90% sustained usage, no people dropping off, and 40 to 50% employment opportunities. So this Trust AI framework has the ability to be used inside of service businesses. I'm focused on service-based businesses that are 50 to 500 employees. And I think this timeline provides some clear milestones over the big picture. Let's look at how that might be implemented over the first 90 days. So over the first 90 days, the things that you could do is you could have a very detailed weekly leadership alignment session to assess the current AI trust levels with an employee survey, align the executive team, and identify the AI champions. And one of the things I am advocating is that you have 3 AI champions: a business champion, a technical champion, and an employee champion, and leave your very core small team to that and empower them to make decisions. I think having a much smaller decision-making team that you empower can lead to much faster pace of change, and we all know AI is changing very quickly. In the next few weeks, select 1 to 2 high-impact use cases that you can make your AI payback projects. Implement the trust framework with these AI payback projects with a small group of your employees, somewhere between 20 to 30, depending on how large your employee. If your group is, if you're a 50-person company, maybe it's more like 5 to 10. And then begin a comprehensive training program about what you're going to do, and then begin doing it. In the last few weeks, the last 6 weeks, you can monitor the adoption rate, gather the feedback from the employees, and decide how to do the chart before, which is the much wider employee rollout of what you would be doing for your AI payback projects. So here's some key performance indicators and investment requirements that I want to make sure that you go away with. The key performance indicators are the trust metrics that we talked about. AI confidence surveys, 75% positive. Adoption metrics, we talked about a target of 80% of the employees that you put into this target, and maybe even a little bit farther as you get farther down the 6 to 12 month plan. Performance metrics. Are the tasks getting more efficient? Are they saving time? Something like that. And then finally, business metrics. Can we track revenue or employee retention or customer satisfaction, second, third level effects of the AI programs that we're putting in? And these all depend on the types of AI that you're putting in. We would want to work together to meld these, or work with whoever you're working with to roll out your AI to either internally or externally, to meld these metrics to the AI that you're putting out. And then finally, a little bit on the investment of how to get the trust within your employees. We would need to put, as I said, 15 to 20% of what you're budgeting for your AI projects into trust-based programs for training and change management. Dedicated teams, 2 to 3 full-time equivalents for the 6 month implementation, and 6 to 12 months implementation, maybe what it ends up being. And then a technology infrastructure changes may need to get put in. Not only do you need the governance on the AI, but you may need to build up data stores and make sure that your tools can connect. So there are definitely things that you can may have to do on your tools side, which is why it's important to have a technology-focused AI champion within your executive team and on your AI rollout teams. And then the expected ROI should be around 2.5 of the full investment, including the training and change management investment. So bottom line, the trust advantage is your strategic opportunity as you roll out AI. 78% of organizations use AI today, but only 26% gain any real value. The big gap is that people aren't working. Not that the tools aren't working, it's that the people and the way that they're working with the tools. And by the way, this is a long-standing problem. Almost every IT tool that I try to roll out, these are the same kind of issues. So we're really rushing forward with AI in ways that we actually know how to solve problems in existing tool rollouts. We've always known that if we help with the change management and the trust and the people part first, but it's even way more important in AI because there's this fear and mistrust already built in, and we are trying to go fast. So those two things combined mean that we really have to build this into our businesses so that we can get this first mover advantage of building an AI trust business. There's some competitive advantage points on here, and the business case, which I've reiterated a few times: 15 to 20% returns, 2.5 return on investment in a 90-day quick result, 12-month full adoption, and that's the whole thing. So a little bit of what we can bring you as a business, as strategy for AI. We provide a free executive briefing for 30 minutes. We'll have a consultation to identify some of your biggest opportunities, which includes a 19-question survey. And we'd love to just talk to you. You don't have to fill out the survey. We'd really just like to talk to you about where you are as a business, whether you're part of the way down, none of the way down, all the way down. We just want to talk to businesses and understand where they are. And the second thing I do is I do an AI opportunity workshop, which is a 4-hour workshop, which allows for you to understand more about how AI could impact your business. I'll do all the research ahead of time, come in well prepared to train your executive team, have them put on their creative hats, and we would bat around all the different ways that you could use AI and come up with the top 2 to 3 use cases for potential AI impact projects. And then finally, in a 4-week implementation, we could implement 1 to 2 of those AI workflows as an AI project. Now, there's a few more things that we could do that are on the site at strategy4.ai. And if you want to book a complimentary briefing, you can. Everyone's going to get these charts and a place to go get the recorded session, but there are also all the research citations and supporting data. So we'll leave it on this for Q&A. I did not this week put a Q&A slide in, which I will remember for next week. And I will stop the share and put everybody on to the ability to ask questions and take themselves off of mute. So 1 second, let me do that. Okay. Unmute themselves. Okay, now everybody can take themselves off mute and you're welcome to ask questions, or you can type questions in the chat if you're more shy. Does anybody have a question? Did it resonate with anybody?
Hey Brad, here's probably a little bit of a loaded question, given that you know my background. But um, how do you see, or in the organizations that you're talking about, do you see these organizations partnering with their HR teams to help with this change management component, given the skills that are in that department, or are these organizations kind of too small for that capability?
No, I think that in organizations that are the size that I'm talking about, 50 to 500, they almost always either have an external or internal HR partner, and many of them have an internal HR partner, and they should view it as that, an HR partner. And I think they should be heavily involved in how do they do this, because they're the partner. Both last week's and this week's um, um, presentations were absolutely heavily influenced and meant to be digested by HR partners in businesses, because I do think HR partners have a great service to lend their businesses in helping them through these humanistic ways of adopting to AI. So both the AI whisperer and this AI placebo effect are places where HR can get involved and bring this to the business as a strategic advisor. Here's a way that we can make sure that the tools we implement and the structures that we put in are going to make all of this technology that you want to go really fast on work. So I think having HR bring this as a strategy and be deeply involved, Sean, is absolutely the way to go.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Great. And I know some people had to drop off early. So if you need to drop off, you're welcome to, but I'm willing to take more questions. And they don't have to be about this. It could be about anything. So if you have an AI question and you want to try and stop me, you can. But I'll also say I don't know, because I don't have full male answer syndrome. I think that starts to decline once you get to be about 30. Okay. I appreciate everyone joining, and thank you so much for joining today. And we will look forward to more sessions. If you were not able to get to last week's session, or you know friends, please join on my website, strategy4.ai. And there are links at the top to resources and future webinars. So I look forward to seeing you at future webinars, and thank you so much for joining today. Thanks.